So hi, my name is Danny Rolnick. I was born and have lived mostly in the UK. I was brought up as a proud Zionist, a passionate Zionist, and I lived in my youth for 5 years in Israel and proudly served in the IDF for 3 of those years when I was 18. And apart from a short period in my late 20s, I have remained a constant supporter of Israel. And over the past 4 years, I've become increasingly absorbed with social media, becoming connected with like-minded individuals and Facebook groups, sharing articles and arguments, refining a better understanding of the injustice that Israel and by design Jews are currently experiencing, from growing public opinion misinformed to the reality of what is actually going on in Israel, or at least dispassionate to what's going on in Israel. I believe, from my own unique experience of life and extensive social media activities in recent years, that I have identified a specific, viable line of defence to be part of the multiple campaigns that other Jewish and Israeli groups and organisations around the world are participating in to counter the propaganda and false narratives that are currently being aimed at Israel. I know sometimes it seems that Israel is losing much of its international support and even its friends. However, there is a unique group of individuals, collectively numbering hundreds of thousands, spread throughout the entire world, who hold Israel in a special place in their hearts. Most of this group of people are not even Jewish, but they share with each other a unique experience. Between the late 60s and early 90s, they were once a volunteer on a kibbutz in Israel. Back in 2007, when I became a member of Facebook and the phenomena of what it was at that time, the greatest thrill was to try and hunt down those people that I once knew but had lost contact with from between 83 and 87, when I was a volunteer on kibbutz on and off. And what I discovered was it wasn't so much the friendship that we had then, but more to do with what we now had in common, that we all had a mutual regard for that particular period in our life when we were volunteers on a kibbutz. And we all seemed to feel the same way, that that period was one of, if not the most important period of our lives. And it was quite emotional to discover that we all felt the same way. And of all the acquaintances that I've remade on Facebook, it's those friends that were also volunteers on kibbutz that I've maintained strongest. And I've met many of them. Some of them have come from all over the world and stayed in my house. And we certainly do have a strong bond, and it's got nothing to do with necessarily Zionism or Judaism. It's just that we had a time that we now realise was quite unique, especially because kibbutz has changed and the volunteers thing doesn't exist like it did. And whether they're Jewish or not, they all have a strong affiliation or affection for Israel. And it's got nothing to do with my particular kibbutz or the people that were on my particular kibbutz, because having joined lots of Facebook groups that unite ex-volunteers, it's obvious that wherever they were or whenever they were there, they all have this same feeling. And the main conclusion that I've taken from this, and it's quite significant, that despite the growing climate of negative attitudes being inflicted on people's views towards Israel around the globe, most members of this unique worldwide group of Kibbutz Volunteers past have remained compassionate, understanding admirers and supporters of Israel. And I describe these individuals as unpaid flag wavers and supporters of Israel, and I perceive that there are many who have fantasized about one day returning again. So, to coincide with next year's 70th independence celebrations in Israel, I want to create a very special event, an event for these unique members of a very unique club, those who've participated in the history of Israel as a volunteer on kibbutz. And this event would be billed as the largest kibbutz volunteer reunion party ever staged. And it would be promoted via social media, including Facebook groups and pages, a multiple language website, providing details of a yet to be determined specifically program of events over 2 days, especially for those who have a strong affection to the country that they visited in their youth. And although the program is in its early stages of design, certainly I see some official aspect of the itinerary, a opportunity to showcase these friends of Israel, and in turn provide a valuable PR story to promote around the world. So because of my contacts that I've retained in Israel, I'm flying there tomorrow morning. I'm paying for my own expenses. I don't have those expenses, but I certainly have the passion, and I certainly have the relevant experience. I've worked all my life in events, and my life is in a place right now where I have the ability to dedicate myself to this over the next few months. And if for some reason the logistics are such that this can't be staged specifically for Yom Ha'atzmaut, then I'm sure it can be staged at some time later in the year. So I'm going to see my friend who heads up the Kibbutz Volunteer office for Takam, the Kibbutz movement, and I've also made contact with other organisations too, and trying to sort out the logistics of how we design this program. But what I really need is help, and there's no better way of saying it than probably some financial help to get this underway. First of all, it's my own costs and expenses, but more significantly, it's the marketing costs. I can do much, like the website, etc., and the social media, but there are some costs for social media, especially with Facebook advertising, etc. I've already created the groups, and I've put the links on this video and a website that's in the design progress right now, so you get a feel. But I'm hoping that this video will reach people who can either help me in practical terms and in monetary terms as well, to show the support for what I'm trying to do. I think it's an important cause, and I hope to hear from many of you very soon. Shalom, Lithrot. Speak to you soon.